think you're on the wonk, but we're all a little bit wonky sometimes. Actually, let's sort it out. Better? Clean this. Right, huge news. The compressor is running. So no more piston compressor, well, as long as it doesn't break. I need to do an oil change on it. But it means it was driving me insane having that kind of loud, constant noise. So I've got a second-hand screw compressor with a dryer, so hopefully shouldn't get any more water coming out of there so much, which is good. This video, what should we pretend we're going to do? Fuel stuff. I think we're going to try and do fuel stuff. I'm going to film it over a few weeks because there's plenty to do. I'll try and get as much done as I can, but I've kind of already started a little bit, so I thought it was good to pick up the camera now and show you what's what. So I'll put a picture up on the screen of a Group A fuel tank. The picture will be stolen from somewhere, and I'll say where it's from. They had these big ATL bladders inside an aluminium tank, as you might be able to see now. Might be gone by now, not sure. Let's see how the edit goes. And then it had 4 outlets from the ATL tank. They went into T's, and then they went through 2 filters and pumps into a swirl pot, and then the swirl pot came out and went through 2 more filters, 2 more pumps, into a T-piece, down to the fuel rail, out of the fuel rail, into a regulator, through a cooler, back to the swirl pot. So that's kind of what we've got to make. So it's quite a complicated system, but I've had a head start on some of it. So the aluminium tank, I've made that, had it CNC, had it cut, CNC cut and folded and stuck it together, so that's all good. I've got an ATL fuel bag, and I've got the Bosch fuel pumps. So they were 044s, but now they're different. They're 200 series. So I've got 4 200 series pumps, and then all of the braided hoses and everything were Earls. So I've got Earls fittings as well. So it's all going to be exactly as was in period, which is quite nice. The only thing that you can't really buy anymore is those nice gold filters. They had these elements inside, so you can just service them, and they're gold. I think they're originally made by Cosworth, going on some old parts lists, but you can't get hold of them. So that's what I've been doing at the moment. I'm making up a bunch of gold filters that will have the same elements inside. They're all exactly the same, apart from they say Group A on them, and have a little fuel in, fuel out doodah. I'm doing the outers at the moment, so I turn this block, an op one, I put that in it, so it's got, obviously there's a load of meat taken out of it. The filter goes in there, it seals against this nice surface, and a circlip goes around there. So I'm going to do 10 of them, I think. I'm going to finish all of these up, and then I will flip it over for op 2 and show you what that is. And I think it's the only CNC thing in this video, and they're nice, won't take long, promise we'll do something else. So I've done all of these now, and I tried to do the first op for the outside, so second op, and I was trying it just like that, and it makes some ever so slight marks on the inside. So I tried again with tape around it, and it didn't make any difference. So I know what I'm going to do, but it'll involve taking this chuck off. So I'm just going to jump onto the lids whilst everything's set up. So the lids I actually made, even though they're round, I start with some rectangular section, and I do the first bit in the fourth and then the second bit in here. So I'm going to do the first one, check the program's all good, and then what I'll do is I'll kind of run both simultaneously and churn through those. So let's start this off. I'll show you that, and then we'll do both, and then we'll jump back onto this, because I've got a solution that's actually already made. I just don't want to swap my work holding around, mate. first bit done. So fuel goes in there, comes out the side. The end thread is so it can get held into the filter. And obviously there's a thread in there for diddly do. It's quite good, isn't it? That's why I make it out of rectangular stock and not round, because it fits in there nicely and I can hold it. I only throw away, I mean wastage wise, pretty good, right? I am a bit eco. And that can go in there. And then what I'll do, hold on a minute. There we go, YouTube. So, because we got one done, one not done, one half done, one not done, I'm going to do two at once with two different work offsets. Same program, and it will, there's actually not many tools that it can use across both, so it does just do one and the other, but at least it means I can, once I watch the first program, I can just go and carry on tidying up and doing other stuff. Good, huh? I've got a load more to do. Tops are all done, so that's off there. And it's in there. And then I made up this round thing a while ago for actually doing the tops of, hang on a sec. It was actually for doing these coolant reservoir tops, all out of solid. And they're in there and spin around and machine all of that, which is quite nice. I still need to weld these together and sell them to people, but you know, priorities. And it's the same ID, so it's 60mm. So so that fits on there nicely, and it's supported all the way around. It's not only supported all the way around, but I've got this kind of really good finish section where the seal sits, and then a more roughed section, and there's a, you know, I don't know, 10 microns or something between them. So it's actually clamping on a surface that the seal will never see anyway, which is nice. And then you put it in there, and it does the final bit. And after, you know, I'll show you after. Nice, huh? One left to do. And I'm going to drop them to the anodizers this afternoon and get them all. They're more an orange than a gold, but you know, you have to work with what they got the anodizers anyway, so it will be as close as we can get it. But I think they're quite good. Hopefully the next time you see these, they'll be a goldy colour. Contain your excitement. Right, they're away at the anodizers. I mean, spoiler alert, they're actually already done. Because they're really quick, so that's good. But let's jump onto this. So this is the last kind of fabby bit that I need to do before I can assemble the entire fuel system. They ran a swirl pot that was like, if you imagine you got the petrol tank here, they ran a swirl pot that was hidden just behind the rear bulkhead. So that's what I'm making. I'm going to make 5 of them because I need to make some more. Other people are having some. And then I thought I do some for the shelf, and I've also been machining things for quite a long time now and not welding things, so there'll probably be my one, a warming up one, and then some customer ones, so that's good. You can see I've marked the holes just on top. What happens here is there's 2 fills, so it comes from the fuel tank, goes in to fill the swirl pot up through 2 fuel pumps, and then this other one here, I think it goes the return from the rail, and then in the top is the overflow to the tank, or those 2 might be the other way around for some reason. That's what it is. And then in the bottom you've got 2 outputs that go to 2 pumps, two filters, into a Y piece, -8 all the way to the fuel rail, -6 back into there. So I marked these by making a nice little 3D printed jobby. Actually, I made 2 because I made one that was easier to get a pen in. So these simply just go in there, and chuck your pen in, do a little squiggle. Then these tubes need cutting down, so I've got to cut them down to length, and then it will let me put the 2 slots in the bottom for the bottom ones. Need to be as low as possible, obviously, for ultimate scavenging. So there we go. I'm going to struggle with chucking a drill in here and the horribleness of using a burr. Shorten that down, and I think I'll probably just get all of those done, and then hopefully that will let me show you how they kind of line up with all the other bits that I've had done for them, and then I'll go away and stick them together. Here we go. So I've also cleaned them because they're like extruded pipe, so you need to linish them so they're not ugly. So I linished them and then spun them round on the old benchy doodah. We've got 3 ins. There'll be a 4th in on the top, 2 outs on the bottom. I thought I'd got more of these, so they need 5 per swirl pot, so I've only got enough to do 2 swirl pots at the moment, but maybe I can just get on with that. At least mine will be done, one other, and then I'll just order some more tonight. I'll be here next week, and I might still be able to do the whole big batch in one go anyway. But yeah, these come with a tube attached, which is quite nice. It saves a bit of work, and I'll weld them to there and trim them on the inside. I'll probably just cut them just so they kind of make sense with where they're trying to swirl the fuel, rather than linish them right back, because otherwise, and then you risk kind of it not welding very nice. Yeah, okay, mate. I'm going to try and I'm going to stick some of these together, and I'll update you once they're stuck a bit more together. Quite nice, huh? That's what happens if you've got 4 fuel pumps. So that's all of the pipey AN6 bits on one of them. I've got to do the top and the bottom, which I had laser cut ages ago, so I don't really need to do that much for it. So it's just that. Something like that. And the bottom is just flat. And then I've got a bunch of these feet that tag on as well. I got them laser cut and bent to save time and money. So 3 of those go on the bottom and 1 goes on the top. So I'll stick those on and I'll show you the finished piece. Well, before I put the lids on, I thought I'd show you inside quickly. So I actually left them full length because they end up on the tangent, and then I put a little tack at the end of each one, just so it's even more rigid than if you were to just weld it there and then linish it off. It's kind of held all the way at the end. I mean, you'd always use the flats to tighten up, but that's it. So that's bottoms are on too. You go that way, and I've just got to put the lids on. I did a double on the lids, so I welded them inside and out, and then they'll go on there. But I'll do those. I'll do the feet. Sefini. Lid's on. It's actually the weekend now, so I have to look after my own children, which is unfortunate, but you know, we get ourselves into these situations. They need one mount up there, and that kind of ties it to the bulkhead, and then they have three, obviously at 120 degrees, that are down here. But I think, just to be sure, I'll make a plate up, make a jig for the bottom to make sure that they're actually at 180 degrees, because one of these is going to get swapped out in an original car that only had one output. So I want to make sure that the pattern is as close as possible to the original, so it will just bolt in. They did actually have a conversion plate, but you know, consistency is a good sign of quality, isn't it? So I'll make that plate up. Next week I've got all of these fittings coming for the other three. Not that I need them right now, but whilst I'm welding, I may as well make them. Yeah, I'll get the feet on, do the jig plate feet, keep it in this video, and then we'll finish at that. I will leak test and pressure test all of these, but it's not very exciting, is it? It's just submerging these in water, putting air in them, being disappointed, welding some more, and then they're okay. Ta-da! The tabs are always kind of a tricky piece to weld on and figure out the best route. I started with this one and tried to do the sides, but it's just not a nice way of doing it because it doesn't sit flush because you've got the kind of curve of it. So it's hard to... Anyway, so I just resorted to this method of top and tail, which actually works all right. And then had the issue of trying to figure out a neat solution. But it's two pretty good ones, and I've got a neat method for three more. So two pretty good, three very good on their way. That's the swirl pot that's going in the back. So that's the last thing I've had to make. I need to leak test it, like I said. What I'll do is I've got all the stuff for the filters now, so I'll show you one filter. Let's build it up, and then we'll cool it. And that's lots of fuel stuff. Come on, buddy. Have standards. Right, that's enough. It's enough for one video, surely. Aren't these lovely? I will make a little jig to pressure test them. Just block one end, find a regulator if I've got a spare one, and chuck some air in them and put them in a puddle, just to make sure they're okay before going in the car. So I will end it here. Thank you very much, everyone. Next time I will assemble all of these on the tank, maybe put the bag in the tank. Yeah, I've got loads of plates and stuff that these sit on, and make up some lines, and that'd be nice. It'll also be nice because it'll be like in the car and out the way. So very much. If you want any of these, I will figure out a price and you can buy them. All right? Maybe find me on Instagram on either That'll Do or go to Group A Fab and keep an eye out. And I will post something up, probably just to gauge interest, to see how many I should do a run of, if anyone wants any. But they're all manufactured in the UK out of properly sourced materials with decent tooling and decent consumables. Nothing is machined or sourced from China, which, I mean, it can be okay, but it can be difficult on being confident with materials with a lot of these CNC shops over there. The machining is usually pretty good, actually, but the materials can just be a bit suspect. So being that they're all high quality UK made stuff, they're not Temu prices, I'm afraid, but you'll be supporting good stuff.